Hi everyone, my name is Junon. I have a health science background and I'm the author of the book Truth and Empathy, How to Find Your Soulmate. And I'll put a link to the book below. This video is about the romantic compatibility between ENFJs and ISFJs. I think most people have asked themselves the question, who makes the best match for another person, especially romantically long term, so that we can reduce the headache and the heartache down the road. So I think that MBTI personality types is a good starting point. So let's look at what ENFJs and ISFJs have in common. Obviously, they're both feelers, which means that these are people who tend to be empathetic, they come from the heart, they tend to be agreeable, and also the fact that they are both extrovert feelers means that they're the type of individuals who like to really bond with their mates. So the goal of their relationships is to become one with their partner. So they like harmony when it comes to their relationships. And obviously they are both judgers. So these are people who like to plan, they are reliable, reachable, they don't like changes in the last minute. So if you say you're going to do something, then you have to follow through. So these are people who will enjoy that and actually appreciate about each other because they know that they can really rely on each other on that level. The other aspect also is that they are, when it comes to their relationship style, they are the feminine and orderly type. So they are the most feminine in terms of how they behave. So these are people who are very nurturing. They like to, really check on the people they really care about. So you'll see that this sort of, not only, yes, you can be a feminine or right brain dominant, but there are different levels of it. So when you look at the ENFJ, they have extrovert feeling as their first function. So they tend to really, put a lot of attention and care into their relationships, and they will probably put more emphasis on their relationships, romantic relationships, than their career, because for them relationships is the heart of who they are. Same thing with the ISFJ in terms of really putting emphasis on their family, their friends, and their romantic partner. Now when it comes to aspects of this relationship that make it challenging, it has to do with the fact that one is an intuitive feeler and the other one is a sensor judger. So what happens is that if you look at their brain, the intuitive feelers have either an alpha or a theta brain dominance. In the case of ENFJs, they have a slow alpha brain dominance. So their energy is only slightly less than the INFJ, so they're just below that. So they have one of the best energies, and also they have a healing effect on most personality types except the INFJ. When it comes to the ISFJ, is that they have among the lowest in terms of energy because their brainwave dominance is beta. So we're looking at around like 15 to 16 cycles per second, which is their brainwave dominance. And again, if you compare that to the ENFJ, their brainwave dominance is around 7 cycles per session. So it's a really a big gap. So what's going to happen is that the ENFJ will feel tired if they spend a lot of time with the ISFJ because of that difference in energy. The ISFJ would actually feel energized being with an intuitive feeler, but it's not a two-way street. The other aspect also is that if you look at their function stack, the ENFJ has introverted thinking as its fourth function, whereas the ISFJ has introvert thinking as its third function. So there's going to be an issue in terms of logic. The ISFJ, although yes, they want to bond, they want harmony in their relations, but they are like the INFJ. Actually, they are the sensor version of the INFJ. So what's going to happen is that they may look at the behavior, the reasoning of the ENFJ and say that this person doesn't make sense. So therefore, the ENFJ may at times feel that the ISFJ is judging them because they're not using more their logic to assess a situation. And also the ENFJ tends to be the type to be like the martyr, I would say, type. So because of they have extrovert feeling as their first function and introvert thinking as their fourth function. So in other words, they're willing to sacrifice logic and even their intuition, although their intuition is their second function, introverted intuition, to get along with others. And by contrast, the ISFJ is unlike that. The ISFJ needs logic in terms of their relationships. So in other words, they want to bond, but they need to have internal logic in terms of their behavior and if it makes sense in terms of the situation. And the other aspect that may be a challenge for this couple is that one isn't too feeler. In other words, they are about the abstract future, whereas because they have introvert intuition as a second function as an ENFJ, whereas the ISFJ has introverted sensing as its first function. So they are about the concrete past. So in other words, one is a lot more traditional than the other. One wants to maybe appear like maybe having a good reputation in their community, so they're more traditional, they're more sort of like rigid, whereas the intuitive feeler is more sort of like more laid back, more open to different ideas compared to the sensor judgers. So generally speaking, I would say that they could be friends, they could be good acquaintances. Maybe the biggest problem is probably going to be the energy difference. So if an ENFJ spends a lot of time with an ISFJ, is that they will feel drained and tired, and they could actually become sick over time because of the difference in energy. But I would say that they will get along well in terms of practicality of life. So in terms of, let's say, paying the bills, being on time, being, let's say, really like focus on their relationships. So they will appreciate the sense of feeling someone who's solid, someone who really wants to make their relationships work and willing to go like above and beyond the call of good duty to make it happen. But again, it has to do with the difference in energy, but also for the other aspect that could make it more difficult has to do with the fact that the ENFJ tends to not be logical and tend to sacrifice logic and even their own well-being to keep harming their relationship. And the other aspect also, the ISFJ is not the type to be an enabler of questionable behaviors of people around them. So you may see an issue on that level. So let me know if you agree with this romantic compatibility analysis by commenting below. If you enjoyed this video, if you learned something, please click on the like button. Remember to click on the notification bell to be notified of other videos that I make, and also subscribe to my channel, and we will talk soon.